Today we're going to be doing the top 3 players of every single decade from back in the 1920s all the way up to now in the 2020s. You guys know I like to do a bit of banters here and there, but sometimes it's about serious football history lessons. So collect your popcorn, collect your notepads. Today you're going to be learning something, and if you are enjoying the fact that you can learn things on here, you know what to do. Hit the sub button. We're on the road to 60k. Enough yapping, let's tuck in, because we go straight to the 1920s, where I would argue the king of the 20s was Dixie Dean. Obviously, we know about him from Everton, those incredible 60 goals he scored to win Everton the league title in the 1927-28 season. For those of us who remember, is a league record that still stands today. In second for the 1920s, we have Jose Andrade. That's a proper Uruguayan DM, unlike a certain Ugarte. No, not him. This one he's the Black Marvel, they were calling him. He won the Olympics, which back then obviously was massive for Uruguay in 1924 and 28, and then obviously in 1930 he won the World Cup, but that's kind of out of the cut-off point, so I'm not going to include that one in his rating. And the third one, this one's interesting. A Brazilian named Friedenreich. Now, why is it interesting? Because listen, this guy was bagging goals year in, year out as per, but a story that interests me, I said, where have I heard this one before? So his ex-teammates that were keeping track of his stats, right? They would write it on a piece of paper every game. Apparently, he had 1,239 goals. Then the guy keeping record accidentally changed it to 1,329, which meant he would be the all-time historical top scorer. And then the guy passed away. And suddenly the numbers kept changing every single year. So, hey, listen, there's a certain other someone in this video we're going to speak about, but it seems like he wasn't the first one to start manipulating the stats a little bit. So, yes, anyway, either way, Friedenreich does deserve to be on the list. On to the 1930s. For me, number one's pretty easy. Giuseppe Meazza is, of course, going to be number one. I mean, the guy has an entire stadium named after him. He was crazy, of course, for Internazionale. He won, the league titles are there. The World Cups are there even. So he has to be undisputed number one. Number two, we have Matthias Sindelar. Obviously of Austria. He was, I guess, putting on a bit of a stat pad session until 1939, which is why I rate, well, to be fair, okay, I can't lie, he didn't stat pad after 1939 because he passed away, but there's other people that stat padded when World War II started. We're going to speak about them again later on, but again, big up to Sindelar. He was going crazy with the numbers as well, so fair play. He gets on second into our list. And in third, we have Arsenio Erico, a Paraguayan player for once, and he bagged about 300 goals in total for Independiente, where he was just a consistent goal scoring machine, and of course a couple goals here and there for his country, Paraguay. Over to the 1940s. This is what I was talking about. Joseph Bicanio disqualified. Nobody should come and tell me that Bican's in this list. Go to his numbers. Suddenly, between 1939 and 45, whoa, this guy scored like 400 goals. Your mates were at war. What were you doing? You were there playing and scoring goals against the evacuees and like random children. That cannot count. I'm sorry, I'm not putting that in my personal record book. So my number one is going to be Jose Manuel Moreno, the first player to win titles in 4 different countries. Now we talk about that as like an incredible achievement, like, you can be adapting wherever you want. He was balling out. He was part of the La Maquina iconic River Plate team, so big ups to him. Number two, I've gone with Zizinho, the original Zizinho before the Zizinho that you guys might know of, who this one is the all-time Copa America top scorer. To be fair, he's joint, but he's number one all-time with 17. And in third, we have Valentino Mazzola, not to be confused with Sandro or anyone else that are the sons and the fathers and whatever. This is the one that was going crazy, winning 5 titles for Torino back in the 1940s. So big ups to him. Over to the 1950s. This one becomes a lot more easier. I can't lie. Now you're going to see names that you're definitely familiar with. People that I have praised up quite a lot of times, because in first place we have Alfredo Di Stefano. This guy is the only ever winner of the Super Ballon d'Or for what he was doing, mashing work in the 50s. I mean, 5 Champions Leagues, 4 league titles in the 1950s. The guy was just, bro, at number 10 and number 9 and number 8, whatever you want him to do, he was doing that, and he was doing it at an exceptional generational level, where even if you watch the tapes now, he could still play today, bro. And in second place is his partner in crime, if you will, Ferenc Puskas. The only reason why, I guess, well, first of all, Stefano's better than him, but also Puskas arrived towards the end of the decade when it comes to Real Madrid. He was obviously, you know, baking off in Hungary, doing what he was doing there, so big ups to him. And then in third, just about making the podium, is Raymond Kopa, who I guess was notorious for making the Ballon d'Or podium time and time again until he finally won in 1958. So big ups to him in France. Now we go to the 1960s, where again, I'm gonna say from now, there is no Garrincha. We're not doing no streets won't forget players or favelas won't forget players, the trenches won't forget players. Big up you for cool dribbling, but that doesn't get you in a top 3 in my list. Number 1 is, of course, the king himself, Pele. I don't think I need to really explain this one. I mean, he's basically top scorer in every single competition the brother played in 1960s. Whether it be with Santos, with Brazil, whatever it is, he was there bagging and bagging and bagging and bagging. There's nothing to really, like, say more about Pele, right? Number 2, I've gone with Eusebio, who joined Benfica controversially in 1961, and he changed their broke air life, bro. 11 league titles, and 7 of them were in this particular 1960s bracket. So yeah, he was dominating Portugal, and we can never forget 1966, of course, the Golden Boot, and that game against North Korea that I always talk about. If you haven't seen it, go and watch that one, man. For those of us who remember, I remember I was there in the stands, and I looked to my guy next to me, I said, bro, who on earth is this guy? And in third place, we have, of course, the man himself, Sir Bobby Charlton. This one is a proper all-round player, an absolute legend of the game. Versatile. He won the, obviously, European Cup for United. He won the World Cup for England. This is someone that was just incredible to watch. It was fantastic on the eye. Just like these, for those of us who remember t-shirts that you can find on my website. This is not branded. This is my own, you know, designs and whatever. You can see the likes of Pele, George Best, some of his Charltons, Eusebio, Yashin, Di Stefano. You got every decade there. You got every team from, you know, Boca Juniors to Bayern, Chelsea, Arsenal, Real Madrid, Liverpool, whatever you want there, players, we got that. I forget to promote it for like 2 months until like yesterday, so we're back doing the shirts. Anyway, moving on to the 1970s. Number 1's pretty easy. We have, of course, Johan Cruyff, 3 Ballon d'Ors, 3 straight European Cups with Ajax. I think it speaks for itself. Everybody knows how revolutionary he was as a footballer, and then, of course, as a coach afterwards. In second, with another player who won 3 straight European Cups, but only 2 Ballon d'Ors. I say only as if it's like a failure or something. We have Beckenbauer, who revolutionized his position. I know in this video, in this list, most of the players are going to be, you know, strikers, wingers, attacking midfielders, whatever. It just, in general, the best players are forwards. I think we can all agree on that. But sometimes you got to make a bit of an exception. And Beckenbauer, for me, is one of those exceptions. And I love my footballers, like proper footballers that can give you numbers and are great to watch. So in third, I wanted to really go for Rivellino, but I said no. Let me just give the accolades to Gerd Müller, who was just getting Bundesliga Golden Boot year in, year out, won all the trophies for Bayern, done his thing, obviously World Cup as well. So I can't really leave him out of the list just to get Rivellino in there. But honorable mention Rivellino for that one. 1980s. We don't need to really waste time on this one. It is Diego Armando Maradona, number 1 by far. World Cup, where he was the top scorer, the top assister. Obviously, he won the league twice for Napoli. He went to Barca. The guy done everything. I mean, at that point, they were saying he is the greatest player in football history. It was always going to be him and Pele, you know, at that time. And many people said, hey, Diego, you got it. So he's going to be number 1. Number 2, we have Michel Platini with his 3 straight Ballon d'Ors. Obviously, he was going crazy for Juve. France as well, kind of. But it was mostly Juve that saw his dominance, if you will. And then in third, another one where I've gone with the pure football ability, right? I've gone with Zico. But at least, you know, he retires as Flamengo's all-time top scorer with 508 goals. So it's not as though I've put a guy that was just doing like 7 step-overs and never scoring. The guy was a bagsman as well, so big ups to Zico. Now we get to the 90s. This one is where it gets difficult because there's a lot of players that you will have seen growing up, potentially, depending on how old you are as well. Number 1, I've gone with R9. who won basically everywhere. Not basically, he did win everywhere he went, especially in the 90s. Whether you use, Cruzeiro or PSV or Barca or Inter or Brazil, 1998. The guy was a winner. Now, granted, they were not really league titles that much in that kind of big spell there. But listen, even if they're cups, we can see with our eyes, right? This guy is the best player of the 90s. He doesn't need to have 10 league titles or whatever. Because, for example, his mate, who's going to be in second, Romario, he did win. Funny enough, he had like a similar career path, except the years that he was at, in Netherlands and then in Barca, he managed to win the league titles. And of course, absolute gunman, nobody can ever doubt that. But I just think R9 is just that level above Romario. I'm not sure, to be fair, what Romario would think about that. I know Brazilians, they're either super humble or they'll say they're the GOAT of all time. So maybe I have to watch some Romario interview to see what he was saying. But in third, initially I wrote down Maldini. But then I thought, big respect Maldini, but I got to go Zidane. Because Zidane's best decade was the 90s, right? Obviously, again, Juve, and you could argue that France World Cup 1998 that he won, where he bagged the 2 headers in the final, for those of us who do remember those headers, that kind of, I wouldn't say cemented him, but put him on course to be the best midfielder in football history. So Zidane had to make it. Maldini, big respect to you, but Zinedine Zidane, I had to get him in there, bros. Apologies. Into the 2000s. This one might be a little bit controversial. Let's tuck in. Number 1, I've gone with Ronaldinho. I think, yeah, couple La Ligas, obviously a Champions League, a World Cup as well, and the Ballon d'Or 05. But above all of that, I'll be real. In the era where social media was just about starting, you could argue, like Facebook and YouTube, these kind of things in the mid-2000s, he was the player that made a whole generation of people fall in love with football. He was like an ancient myth, if you will, where you see him every few weeks pop up at Stamford Bridge for Champions League. He'll pop up here for Champions League and just go crazy. He was the player that everyone looked at and think, you know what? I like football because of Ronaldinho. So he's going to be my number 1. Number 2, something similar for the Premier League watchers, Thierry Henry. This guy, he ran basically the entire decade. First of all, in the Premier League, where from 2000 up until like 06, across Europe, when they have those graphics that show who had the most goals and the most assists in each calendar year, you just see Henry. Of course, he wasn't a numbers merchant. He was incredible on the eye as well. Struck fear into basically every defender. Your favorite ever defenders are telling stories about how they would never be scared of anyone, but the night before facing Henry, they'll have nightmares, bro. They start shaking like that. So Henry has to get it, and of course, he was part of the incredible Barca team in 09 as well. So he had basically the entire decade, right, which is also a factor in these particular videos. In third place for the 2000s, it's going to have been a lot of people, but I've gone with Cristiano Ronaldo. Let me explain before you shout at me. He was already a first team player by 2003 at Manchester United. Obviously, he won a trophy with Sporting before he went to United, but that's not going to hold that much weight, I guess, for you guys, no problem. But he was a first team starter from 03. Obviously started winning league titles in 06. Won the Ballon d'Or, won Champions League, but basically everything there is to win with United, and then became the most expensive player in history when he went to Real Madrid, obviously, at the time. So I think he just about takes it. And you hear what I'm saying, because in 2010s, then number 1, Messi comes and starts to dominate. I feel like Messi, obviously we know how elite he was, even from like, let's say 06-ish kind of thing. But it was always like, for me, Ronaldo just had more years in the 2000s. I hope you guys understand where I'm coming from. In the 2010s, obviously now they both have just 10 straight years. And Messi, I mean, have I really got to explain? 5 Ballon d'Ors, Champions Leagues, plenty of league titles as well. It's Lionel Messi, innit? And unfortunately for this one, now Ronaldo drops to second, or rather, I guess he goes up to second because he was third in the last one. So now he's up to second here. Obviously won with Portugal 2016. I think 4 Ballon d'Ors. Again, a couple league titles. Plenty of Champions Leagues as well. So big ups to him for that one. And in third place, after much deliberation, I was thinking about Neymar, but I'll be honest with you, I've gone with Iniesta. He started the 2010s decade with the goal that won Spain their first ever World Cup, And he ended the decade with an Emperor's Cup for Vissel Kobe. What a big trophy that is. But no, in all seriousness, look, he was consistent. Even though he's been playing since the 2000s, he was still consistent into the 2010s for Barca for about 7-8 years perhaps before he went to Japan. So I think Iniesta being, in my opinion, the second best midfielder ever gets him just about onto the list ahead of, again, there's a lot of honorable mentions. So by all means, in the comments, let me know if you disagree with someone being in second or third or wherever you want them to be. I'm always open to you guys' interpretations of football, right? My list is not a factual list. It's just my opinion on who I think the best 3 are for each decade. But alas, we now end it with the 2020s. Obviously, we're only 5 years in, so it's kind of a little bit of projection as well, where what we can maybe see them doing in the next 5 years. So because of that, I've gone with number 1, Mbappe. I think already so far, I mean, he's been crazy. Obviously, he wins the league nearly every single year for PSG. He went to Madrid. He won a couple, you know, minor trophies, those like intercontinental super club, whatever you want to, I don't know what they're called, I'll be honest with you, but he won a couple trophies. Not quite the leagues and Champions Leagues yet, but I reckon that will come. And I'll be real, I say it all the time, yeah, had he scored that 4th goal in the World Cup final, I'll be putting him in crazy conversations. I already am, given that he scored a hat-trick in that final and pretty much was like the ultimate all-time villain, where you see Messi was like, again, shaking with fear, bro, thinking, nah. There's no way this is about to happen. But again, big up to Mbappe. In a close second, I've gone with Erling Haaland. Started the decade with Dortmund, put up ridiculous numbers, got his move to Man City, bang, win the treble, couple more league titles. So yeah, fair play to Erling Haaland. Them two are going to be, you know, fighting it out for years to come, hopefully. Especially this season, they've been going crazy. And the third one, to be honest with you, I didn't really know who to go for, because in terms of like the next 5 years or so, obviously you got the likes of like Yamal and these guys that can step up. Vinny has had a good stretch with the Champions League and be fed down a little bit. Then you got the likes of Kane and Lewa, who are going to hang up their boots in like a year or two. I think, to be fair, I'm going to keep it City again, and I'm going to go with KDB. I know he's washed now, even at the end of his City spell, he was kind of meaty, but I think for what he did in those first 4 years, I'm going to give it to Kevin De Bruyne. Again, you can shout out the likes of Benzema and whatnot as well, but let me know, to be fair, there might be a better third place name that I'm not really thinking of, so let me know your thoughts. If you learned something new today, make sure you subscribe, make sure you like the video, do whatever you want, comment your favorite players from each decade, comment whatever you want. The more comments, the merrier, and I'll see you guys tonight for Nigeria versus Congo, round 3. It can't go on like this, can it?